Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope all of you are doing good. Pistol braces. I want to talk about it tonight and I want to see where you guys are at with it. In case you didn't know, maybe been under a rock or thought maybe it just all went away. The ATF announced over a year ago that they are going to ban, rule on, make a law. And I'm kind of being sarcastic and serious when I say all three of those things. But we're definitely going to talk about that tonight. And I want to know where you guys are at with this. What are you going to do? Don't necessarily type in what you're going to do in the chat because it is public. I just want to have a discussion about it. Because the AFT, as they're known as, right? The former vice president. By the way, let's go, Brandon. The most popular and the most fortified of all time. And I would note, Susan Wiki, that comes from Time Magazine, which is a NewsGuard certified source. The former vice president and his AFT, what I would call the fourth branch of government, one that isn't part of the checks and balances, one that, in my opinion, would not have been allowed to exist if the founding fathers were still alive, one that there was no provision for them to exist under the original founding documents, which last time I checked, hold on, there's a quick question. If we are still the United States of America, last time I checked is the supreme law of the land. And as the very, very early Supreme Court case, Marbury v. Madison said, all laws that are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. And I believe the Administrative Procedures Act, which allows, somehow, by, in my opinion, an unconstitutional act, allows these agencies to not have to be checked by the Constitution. Just at the whim of the executive branch, which is normally headed by the president, in this case headed by the former vice president, where they can come in and they can lay down the law and they can take one of the most unconstitutional laws that exists in this country, the National Firearms Act, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which means if we even had one gun control law, it would be unconstitutional. This shouldn't be hard for people to conceptualize. I mean, a fourth grader can read the Bill of Rights and understand it. And that's why it's beautiful. But lawyers, lobbyists, corporations, corruption, and power have now perverted the supreme law of the land to be nothing more than a second-class right. Nothing more than something that's in the history books. Because now we have the ATF, otherwise known as the AFT, depending who you ask, literally completely and arbitrarily making rules. Rules about an unconstitutional law that there was no vagueness in. There's very, very specific definitions in the National Firearms Act as to what a unregulated versus regulated firearm would be. And it's unconstitutional that we would even have a law that regulates firearms and imposes taxes on a natural, God-given right. All men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These are rights that weren't given to us by government. They weren't granted by the King of England, and they weren't granted by George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or James Madison. But the founding fathers were smart enough to know that, and they were smart enough to make rules. Because if you look at the Bill of Rights, these do not say anywhere in there that they grant you rights. It doesn't say you are granted the right to keep and bear arms. No, it's a prohibition on government. The Bill of Rights isn't a gift to you. Your gifts come from God. Your gifts come from your Creator. These are laws of nature and of nature's God, is what the Declaration of Independence says. And that's what I believe. Is that what you guys believe? Or do you believe they were granted to you by politicians, suits and ties up on a hill that could rule over you and lord over you, beholden to only the corporate donors and the super PACs and the mega funds and the collusion that gets so thick you have no idea anymore when you look at a Democrat and you look at a Republican, you see the coin. You have to look really close to see what side it is because they're both just two different sides of the same coin. But I think most of you, at least the ones watching this stream, you're smart enough to get it. And you know what's going on. They've literally created a fourth branch of government, and it's the bureaucracy. It's the bureaucratic state. Probably, in my opinion, just as jackbooted, maybe even more jackbooted than what we saw in regimes in the past. Ones were hundreds of thousands of brave Americans, and God bless their souls, they were doing the right thing and fought in foreign lands to fight against fascism, to fight against the Third Reich, to fight against communism and socialism and all of these isms. And we fought it all the way across the world, and we need to wake up and realize that it's going on right here, right now. And it's very evil. And I believe the bureaucracy has become very evil in this country. Probably always has been, but it keeps perpetuating itself. And it's starting to prevail more and more and more. Why? Well, the answer is actually really simple. Why? How to fix it is where it probably gets a little more complicated. Why? Well, because this has always been a battle of good versus evil. Evil's always existed. Good has always existed. Just look back in the Garden of Eden with the eating of the forbidden fruit. Evil is there from the very beginning of documented humans, and it's always going to be there. But this is a battle of good versus evil, and evil always has, still is, and always will prevail when good men do nothing. And there was a time for choosing in 1934 when the National Firearms Act was put into law. I believe back then if millions of Americans have stood up at that time and said, we shall not comply. This is contrary to the Constitution. This is repugnant to the Constitution. We live in America. We follow the Constitution. And anyone who would write such a law, vote for such a law, or try to enforce such a law, you're the criminals, not us. We're going to follow the law of the land, which says shall not be infringed. I believe if millions of people would have stood up and said that in 1934, that the National Firearms Act would have not been allowed to stand. Now, it may have gotten nasty. It may have gotten bloody back then. Sure. Well, it got pretty nasty and bloody in the 1860s in the United States too, and in the 1770s. And I know nobody wanted that back then, and nobody wants that now. But I believe in 1934, if lots of Americans, many Americans, most Americans would have said, no, you're not touching my guns. You're not going to tax my guns. Just think about that. All of your rights are endowed by your Creator. That's a very, very powerful statement and a very simple statement. And probably the most important statement when you even want to think about what makes America, America. And what's supposed to make the United States different than the rest of the world. A government that would only exist to protect your natural rights. And that it would only be able to operate at the consent of the governed. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's many things that can mean, but if you boil it down real simple, because these are very simple. These are natural rights the government didn't give. And they can't take them away unless, of course, people allow them to. And unless, of course, people acquiesce and people don't care, complacency, lethargy, sloth, all of these things that have probably been going on in America for a long time. I guarantee you if 5 million people went to the Capitol in 1934 and said, there will be no National Firearms Act, from my cold dead hands, peacefully but sternly protested, what would have happened? What do you guys think would have happened? I'm serious. Would we have a tax stamp on a natural right? Now, we think about things where they say they need to now put ballot boxes. In the state of Michigan, with Proposal 2 passing, they're going to have thousands of ballot boxes all over the state. Coincidentally, mainly in the urban areas where there's higher concentrations of populations who also tend to lean very, very heavily towards voting Democrat. That's such a right that they have to provide ways for people to vote who are too lazy to even vote. It's called harvesting. It's called collecting. And they're willing to cater to that. Why aren't they dropping off a gun in a locked container on your front porch? Well, think about it. What's more important, having the ability to vote or having the ability to keep and bear arms? I think we could look at North Korea for that, actually. Did you guys know in North Korea, where civilians can't own any guns at all, and where there's a lot we don't even know about that country? It's so dictatorial and totalitarian. See, free countries that want to prosper put walls up to keep foreign invaders out, but tyrannical dictators put up walls to cage their people in. We see that in North Korea. But I'll tell you something about North Korea. There's not a gun behind every blade of grass, which is why the Japanese were afraid to invade the American mainland. They took a cheap shot on us in Hawaii. And that was an act of war, but they didn't invade the homeland, the mainland, the continental USA. They didn't invade it with troops because they said, if you go to America, you'll find a gun behind every blade of grass. But they're putting ballot drop boxes all over the place now. But they're not giving the American people guns so that we can have guns behind every blade of grass, are they? Because here's the difference between North Korea and America, because don't say it's because we have elections and they don't, because they actually do have elections. No, they literally do. Go look it up. They hold an election. There will be an opponent to Kim Jong-un every time, and he just happens to win 99.99% of the popular vote. They have elections, actually, in North Korea. They do. And they actually have elections in like every country in the whole world. But what the people don't have in those countries is a gun behind every blade of grass. And what those people don't have is a people's militia. We the people, just regular people like me and you, with millions and millions of guns. They don't have that at all. They don't have any forum to resist tyranny. They don't have any forum to equalize any power. And they don't have any ability to say no, actually. Because you can say no all you want. And you can say things all you want in these other countries. And people with guns will come and take you from your home or take you from the public square and put you in work camps, in prisons, or very swift death in many cases throughout the world. And the difference is, when the United States was set up, the founding fathers said, no, we don't want to start up a new country that ends up becoming just as tyrannical as the monarchy that we fled, the monarchy that we fought. They set up safeguards. They set up prohibitions on government. If you look at all 10 of the Bill of Rights, literally all of them, none of them grants any power to the government at all. It actually limits power to the government. It limits the exercise of any type of authoritarian rule. But back to where I started this little rant tonight, and I'm going to get into the details on this proposed eminent that will be happening any day now. I'm surprised it didn't happen today, but it's probably going to happen in the next couple weeks. This brace, stabilizing brace, arm brace, pistol brace, ban, law, fiat law, fake law, real law. I mean, we can debate the semantics of it all we want, and it's actually kind of a fun thought exercise till it scrambles your brain so much it's hard to even remember what's up or down or what's east or west, because as you sit there and think to yourself, but hold on a minute, how can they make a law when only Congress makes law? Well, if you're thinking that, you have a good point, because that's what the Constitution says. What if you said, but hold on a minute, we just had the New York Rifle and Pistol Association case v. Bruin, and that was from the Supreme Court, so that has to mean something, right? Because checks and balances include the 3 separate branches of government. And the New York Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin case said, hold on a minute, it's only a 1-part test now. If it's a federal law, was there anything in 1791 when the Bill of Rights was written that was comparable? And if the answer is no, you can't go to a second step, because Clarence Thomas said if you go to a second test, That's one test or one step too far. Now, if it was a state law, he said you'd have to look at the time that the 14th Amendment was ratified, which I believe was around 1868. Because that's when the states got incorporated into the Bill of Rights, as far as states' laws go. So if only Congress makes law, and that's what the Constitution says, and the executive branch is only allowed to execute the law, not create law, because that would make a conundrum. That would no longer be separation of power, right? If the people that are going to enforce the law are now creating the law, that reminds me of a saying we use around here, and I think probably used everywhere. That's like the fox guarding the hen house, isn't it? Sure. I'll make sure it's okay so I can get in there and eat those chickens and eggs tonight, said the fox. Right? Look, guys. There's a brace ban coming. It's going to affect, depending where you read, depending who you believe, but the consensus says at least tens of millions of people, which is going to fundamentally disarm or put these firearms into a classification that offers many more restrictions, registration, which will no doubt lead to confiscation. And I do have hope. I do, but my hope isn't in actually the Supreme Court at all. Although I liked we call it the Bruin decision. That was actually the person that lost. It's actually the New York Rifle and Pistol Association case, if we were to call it by the victor's name. That case was decided by the majority of the United States Supreme Court, the highest court in the land. And there's been some victories with it, and I think it was an excellent decision. But I think if you just pay attention a little bit, the writing's kind of on the wall right now. Tyrants don't care about that. If the Supreme Court is supposed to adjudicate the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution, since when do tyrants care about law? Because literally the definition of a tyrant is someone who's ruling outside of the rule of law. So we shouldn't be surprised for even 1 minute that we look at the tyrannical state of New York. They've ignored the New York Rifle Pistol Association case. What? Every day it changes. Last time I checked 3, 4, 5 times. Oh, I blinked. Probably the 6th time they're violating it right now while this stream's going on. They don't care. Illinois now has the votes to pass a, quote, AWB in the state of Illinois. But the Bruin decision, I'm just going to call it that because that's what you guys know it as, but the Bruin decision would prevent that. Of course it would prevent that. So does Marbury v. Madison. So does the Second Amendment. So does the Constitution. Gun control has been banned in this country, legally banned. Now think about this. I'm not talking about banning guns. I'm going to say this one more time, because I know sometimes people just kind of listen in the background, and I love it that I can help you guys pass the time when you're at work or listening on replay. The Second Amendment has banned gun control. Gun control has been banned in writing in the law, the supreme law of the land, the Constitution. Gun control has been banned in this country since 1791. Think about that for a second. People say, well, hold on a minute. If this happens, this one will sue, that one will sue, that one will sue. And I suppose, yeah, all these gun rights groups are going to have to sue soon. But gun control has been unequivocally 100% banned in the United States of America since 1791. So there's a lot to talk about here. There's the idea of the braces themselves. There's the idea of a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. And we want to be secure and we want to be free, but what does it mean to be well-regulated? What type of arms would we need to bear to protect and defend this country against enemies, both foreign and domestic, which is the spirit of the Second Amendment, which is the spirit of the United States of America? I'm not a particularly smart person, and I don't expect any of you guys to be, although the chat, actually, I read it and get encouraged by you guys every week. And I believe a lot of you guys are very smart people. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. I want to know where the United States of America is on this. Where's the gun community, the 2A community? This is a very small channel. We're not going to get a representation of the whole Second Amendment community here tonight, but I look at you guys as a very, very important part of the Second Amendment community, because I talk about stuff a lot of channels wouldn't talk about. Doesn't get as much views. A lot of people that own guns just want to know about the newest gun, which I can't show right now because I'm on a YouTube live stream. Can't Dutch Guns live. But I'm interested in these topics, and I think they're very, very important. And I think the Supreme Court's important. And I think the founding documents are important, but ultimately they're not really the most important thing at all. The most important thing is actually you. Because when this country was formed, it would only be conformed that we would have a government that was allowed to exist at the consent of the governed. And that would be you. So you're actually the most important people right now. And what you guys think about this is actually the most important right now. And all of your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers and people you go to church with and school with and wherever you want to have these conversations. Look, somebody's got to talk about this. It can't just be me talking about this or just you talking about this. A lot more people have to think about what's going on right now. And I would ask you guys and encourage all of you to remind everybody you know. Maybe not literally right now, but like tomorrow's a really good time to start. I know it's late at night. Maybe call someone on the phone right now. Start reminding people. People who are good people who could understand this, they're just being lazy or they don't get it or they're not thinking about it. Remind them how important they are. There's no suit and tie in Washington that's going to save us from this brace ban or from anything. I think Clarence Thomas is probably a really based guy and he's very smart, and I would probably love to have him sitting in the shop and talk to him about the Constitution and life. And I think he's probably a very fine person, but he's not going to save us either. And we shouldn't really expect them to. If we expect the government to save us, that's actually taking all the power away from us. And that would be actually the exact opposite of what the United States of America has always been and is supposed to be. And I hope can continue to be here in the future. Kings will pledge to protect their humble servants and their peasants. Kim Jong-un, one of the main platforms he has is how he's protecting the people of North Korea, who are often having a very difficult time eating. And I don't mean like, oh, they wanted to eat steak, but they had to settle for a hamburger. No, I mean people that would be willing to eat anything at all because they're so hungry. And they're still having a hard time finding literally anything to eat. That's literally the number one thing that these tyrants and dictators focus on. That's how they all get into power. Is they come in as a protector. They come in that they are going to take down all the evils in the world and provide all the protection for themselves and for the people. I kind of did a Freudian slip, for the people, while they're saying in their head for themselves, for their power. Am I exaggerating this point? Or is the ATF literally at this point a fourth branch of government? Now, it's not just them. We just tend to focus more on topics of the Second Amendment here on these live streams and on my channel, because I just don't have enough time in the day to talk about everything, although I do care about other things too. But look at, what is it, 80,000 new IRS agents. There's another one. Look at the EPA. Look at the Department of Education, what they're doing. I mean, you can go on and on. But with the brace ban, it's the ATF. Do you guys think bureaucracy, whether it's the ATF or just pick any of them, all of them, as far as that goes, are they indeed now a fourth branch of government? And this is a really weird way to think about it, but I'm going to ask you to think about it one more way. It's 86,000. Alden reminded me. Over 80,000. I do want to make a clarification and correction. If it was only 80,000, more than 80,000 new IRS agents that are trained and armed. These aren't just desk clerks. But think about this. This is kind of a weird concept, but I think we should think about it. Is it actually just a fourth branch of unchecked government? Or is it almost to the point where the bureaucracy is the only branch of government? Are we literally getting to the point? Look, there's three ways to look at this. We used to be this way and it's getting better. I don't think anyone will pick that option. Or it's almost there, or it's already there. Are we almost there or already there to where it isn't actually a fourth branch of government? Is it the only branch of government? And the other three are just figureheads? Just something to appease us? Is the executive, the legislative, and judiciary just a clown show so they can sit there and do magic tricks in front of us? So we can debate about this and that, and we can debate what this one said on Twitter and what that one said on Twitter, and this one got banned, that one got banned. This congressman's going to save us from this one, which is going to save us from that one. The Supreme Court ruled again, and half the states in the country didn't care. Gretchen Whitmer doesn't care. She's promising gun control here in a few weeks in Michigan. Are all three branches of government that this country was founded on just a dog and pony show? And is the bureaucracy the only branch of government we have? Accountable to maybe only the World Economic Forum? That might be one that's helping them, give them their guidance. The military-industrial complex? The new social order? Guys, this isn't a conspiracy theory stream. Literally, the former vice president has bragged about a new social order. The World Economic Forum. Dwight D. Eisenhower. General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Think about that. I've never been in the military, but 5-star general. I think everyone listening knows what that means. It's as high as it gets. Became the president of the United States, and in Dwight D. Eisenhower's farewell speech when he was leaving the White House, you guys can look this up. It's actually on YouTube. Believe it or not, you can still find this. For how much longer, I don't know. This stream's still up right now. I guess that's a good sign. Hi, Susan. One of the biggest stark warnings he gave the American people was about the military-industrial complex. JFK warned about it. Didn't get to talk about it too long. Something happened to him. Who knows what? Not what they said happened. Come on, who would believe that? But nobody knows for sure. But we're going to talk about the braces, and I'm even going to show you guys a worksheet. And I want to thank everybody here who's been supporters of the channel. I saw a couple super chats pop up. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are my sponsors. You guys are the only reason this channel can exist at all. So thank you so much. Thanks for all of you who support on Locals, where I do other live streams where I can actually touch guns live. I cannot touch a gun on a YouTube live stream. Regular videos on YouTube, yes. Gun videos coming this week, not on live streams. But on Locals, I do. And I can post all sorts of content that I can't post here. All of the YouTube channel members, thank you so much. We did a stream just this past weekend. It was a private stream just for the channel members. I had an awesome time. I think it was a cool discussion. So if you guys are a member and you missed it, go to the YouTube community tab and you'll see where I posted it. It's kind of a hidden link that's only available to channel members. And I just did that as a thank you for you guys. And I think we had a really good time doing it. Also, one more quick reminder here, a way you can support the channel totally free. I know a lot of you guys are doing Christmas shopping right now and will be for the next few weeks. I have an Amazon link. It's in the description of this and every video. Just click on it before you make your normal purchase on Amazon. It's only a few crumbs, but eventually it all adds up and provides some funds for the channel with you guys again being my sponsors. So definitely check out that Amazon link in the description. And real quick, I'm going to grab a couple of these super chats, but I want to thank Bill Camperis if you're watching. He had gifted 5 channel memberships last week. If you're watching, Bill, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. I didn't see it in real time only because there's a little glitch between StreamYard, which is what I use to stream with, and YouTube, and it doesn't bring that into it. The part where it says that the memberships were gifted. So thank you so much. Hopefully some of the guys that Bill gifted memberships to were in that little private stream we did last week, which was a lot of fun. Rudy Fenny with a super chat and a channel member. Thanks, man. I appreciate you, dude. Man, don't respond with a super chat. I'll read the chat afterwards if I can't see it in real time. But what do you think, Rudy? About the pistol braces, about the governor of Michigan? It's going to get tough in Michigan real soon. Oregon, it's all hitting the fan right now as we speak. Illinois, get ready. So many states I can hardly count. And yes, the New York Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin, that should nullify all this, guys. But it's not. It's not. When you go to the highest court of the land, and it doesn't seem to have any effect. And then you go and have an election, and that doesn't seem to have a whole lot of effect. I don't know. There's certain times in this country where the American people have had to go over the government's head and say, no, this is what we demand. This is going to happen. Now think about this for a minute. How many of you guys drink? I'm not saying you're a drunk, and if you are a drunk, I'm not judging you, but how many people just consume alcohol in any fashion whatsoever that are watching? If you have like a beer every week, that counts. If you have a beer once a year, that counts. Well, because around 100 years ago or so, that was illegal. And the American people were literally able to say, no, I will not comply. I shall not comply. And they drank like they've never drank before. And they said, no, we're going to drink alcohol. And prohibition was actually repealed. That's one example in the last 100 years where the American people went over the government's head and said, there's just too many of us. You can't lock us all up. What are you going to do? You guys do know that, right? They can't lock us all up. They can't put so there's 100 million gun owners in this country. All right. Yeah, 3/4 of those are FUDs. Let's say 20 million people own pistol braces. Do you really think they can find enough cells to lock 20 million people up right this minute? No. Now, there have been regimes where they were able to handle tens of millions of people actually in the last century, but we can't let ourselves get to that point. Right now in this country, there's no capacity. Now, look, evil always prevails when good men do nothing. If this slippery slope keeps getting worse, there was governments within the last 100 years that were able to actually get rid of tens of millions of people within their countries, like in relatively short fashion, within a couple of years' time. Okay. Germany, China, Russia, just to name a couple. Okay. Many, many more countries, but those are the three largest. 100 million people between those three countries easily gone. Evil is capable of doing that. History does repeat itself. But in America, people said, no, we're going to drink alcoholic beverage if we want. And I'd like to see you try to keep stopping us from doing it. And yeah, there was some violence, I'm sure, that happened here and there. But for the most part, overwhelmingly, it was a very peaceful disobedience, non-compliance, civil disobedience. The founding fathers say that it's not just your right, it's your duty to throw off tyranny, to throw off tyrannical laws, tyrannical government, and to institute government that you feel, that's you watching right now, you and all of your friends and even people you don't like, that you will feel makes you safe and secure and allows you the pursuit of happiness. Not what politicians think. Not what the AFT thinks. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know exactly what the law is going to say when it comes out. The rule, the fiat law. Because we have to call it many things just to be fair. Because I don't want to call the brace ban, the brace whatever, reclassification. I don't want to call it a law. Because I want to think that since the Constitution says only Congress makes laws, okay, and since gun control has been banned since 1791, I'd like to think we can't even have gun control laws. Because you literally can't have gun control laws and still be America, because America's founding document says that you can't. But we're in a situation where we do have gun control laws. Not okay, but acknowledged or whatever. The ATF, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, who was the one that is actually officially writing the rule and then is putting the ATF in charge of enforcing it. That's a cop. That's federal police. That's the executive branch, which cannot make a law. So I don't want to call the brace ruling a law, but it's a rule. But I don't really want to call it a rule either, because if you call it a rule, then people think, oh, that's just a rule. That doesn't mean anything. Well, if you think that, you're wrong, because it has the full force and effect of law. And armed people with guns can still come in and act on that no differently than if you broke a law. You can still be charged. And they can still bring a grand jury together, and you can be indicted. And you can go to court with criminal charges that are felonies. But it's a rule, not a law. But hold on a minute. What if it was a law instead of a rule? What would happen? Well, identical, the same exact thing as I just said. So it's technically a rule on semantics, but it's technically a law if you really look at it, what it actually does. Because there's court precedents that says that these executive rulemaking has the full force and effect of law. This is what happens when a government was formed in such a simple fashion, such an easy to understand fashion. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's it. There shouldn't be two-way EDU. Are you kidding me right now? Why should we have to educate on something that says that? The right to keep and bear, so you can own them and you can bear them, shall not be infringed. Okay. And why do we still need to talk about that? I'd like to say I don't know. I'm sure you guys are all like, what? Why would we even have to talk about this? Okay. Here's why. Because there's very, very evil people in government that are trying to squash you and probably have stuff so horrific planned that they are afraid that the American people might bear arms. In my opinion, they probably are afraid of that. If not, why would they even care? I don't think any of you guys want to hurt me right now, and because why would you? I've never done anything to you, and I don't plan on it. I don't have anything for any of you guys, because what have you done to me? That's how normal people think, but the government has a lot of stuff planned. In my opinion, just based on the fact that they're coming through now outside of law and making rules that have full force and effect of law. But why did I name my channel 2A EDU? Why do we have to keep talking about this more and more and more? We need to keep talking about this topic more, because they're still coming for our guns more and more and more. Probably because about 3/4 of the people in this country are just out and out too stupid to even understand what the heck's going on. Lazy, dumb, whatever. Probably. Do you guys agree? They just don't care. There's probably 3% or less of these people in this country right now that actually get it. That can actually understand simple statements like shall not be infringed. There's probably 15% of the people that want to get rid of that would rather us become one of these isms. Communism, fascism, ism. They're all the same thing in the end. They're all the same thing. Put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. Put a bonnet on a pig, it's still a pig. They're all the same thing. I'm tired of people saying socialism is so much better than communism. No, it's not. It's the same thing. And it always leads to the same thing. Very, very few people actually get it. And that's where the people that do get it need to talk more and need culture to understand how important it is of our right to keep and bear arms and that it shall not be infringed. And probably 75, maybe it's even 90% of people just don't care. They're too dumb to want to be free. They're too lazy to want to be free. They're too whatever. And I know lots of people like that right now. That claim to be Second Amendment supporters and claim to be gun owners, and they're this and they're that. And I said, well, what do you think about the brace ban? And they're like, huh, what's that? I'm like, well, you got to pay attention a little bit. So then I tell them a little bit about it, and they're like, what do you need that for? Why do you need that? I'm like, so you're with Moms Demand Action asking me why do I, what, excuse me? Who's that? A lot of people don't even know who the big anti-gun groups are in this country. And I said, go look it up. And they said, I don't care. I don't have time for that. There you go. Grab a couple more of those chats, Linda, if you would, real quick here. I really appreciate the super chats, and I do like to read them while people are still here. Raw Feeding 101, what's happening, man? Thanks for the super chat and for being a channel member. And I want to read these because a lot of you guys have very nice comments. What's up, A-Dubs? I see you over there on the side, man. Raw Feeding 101, great channel, by the way. If you guys have dogs, definitely check it out for sure. He says, can't stick around, but wanted to show some love. Have a great weekend. I hope your Thanksgiving was awesome. It was, man, and I hope yours was too. I hope you and your family are doing great, and I know you guys are into firearms, so hopefully you've got to do some shooting lately, or if not soon, take it easy, man. Band Talk with the generous super chat. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it, man. And a channel member and my friend. He says, I'm not a drunk, but just wait till they see my version of bootlegging if they keep infringing. You guys get the bootlegging analogy, right? I mean, we should go back and look at the bootleggers. Huh? Might be some of the people that we need to read up on. People say, where's our next George Washington? Maybe look at the bootleggers. That'll be the next person that'll help. No, there's lots of analogies here. Think about it. He says, but just wait till they see my version of bootlegging if they keep infringing. Having puzzle night with the missus, listening in. Don't forget the thumbs up, everybody. Yeah, don't forget the thumbs up. It's a way to help. It's called the algorithm. Look, I don't care how many people watch me, but I'd like to get more people involved in this conversation to think about what's truly going on here. The brace ban's coming. That's very important. We need to think about that. And we need to talk about the bigger issues of what the heck is going on. And I think most of the people that are listening or watching right now get it. And that's why I'm talking to you guys. But it's going to take more than 180 of us watching, which is a lot of people. I can't believe that many people would come in on a Friday night to watch me. But it's time for all of us to get the word out of exactly what's going on and offer encouragement. So thanks, man. I really appreciate it, Band Talk. Shout out to your channel. Is it on or off right now? Don't leave me another super chat. Just let the chat know. I usually recommend his stream afterwards. I think he's got a couple strikes right now. So there you go. Which is another big problem going on. Big problem. So I wish you the best with Susan. Maybe I have to buy her some flowers and see if I can talk to her about your account. But I've been kind of blowing her off lately. Hey, Susan. By the way, YouTube employees that are watching this right now, join in. Talk to all your fellow YouTube coworkers and let them know about the right to keep and bear arms. There are a lot of people that actually work for big corporations and in big tech that are pro-gun, just so you guys know. I'm being dead serious. There's literally someone that works at YouTube. They've been assigned to the 2A EDU stream right now that I've probably become their favorite channel by now. And I actually mean that. Thanks, Pan Talk. Oh boy, Nutty 357. I have a fast car with a decent trunk. Yep. I live right on the Great Lakes. I mean, close enough. When the ice would freeze over, they get on there with the Model Ts, the Model A's, and think about it. I'm going to start watching Dukes of Hazzard episodes here. Does anyone else like the Dukes of Hazzard except for me? Or come on, any Dukes of Hazzard fans? I'm talking like the original one in the early 80s. Oh man, I love that show. Dukes of Hazzard. Remember that? Mateo 1371. What's happening, man? Thanks for the super chat, and I appreciate it, dude. He's going to start the caliber controversy again tonight, guys. So you guys can hash this out in the comments if you want. He says 357. And in case you thought it was Magnum, no, 357 Sig for the win. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. What do you 40 guys and 9 mil guys have to say about that? I mean, I like 357 Sig and Magnum and 9 and 40. There you go. You guys will have to hash it out. Just some good old boys, never meaning no harm. No, seriously, love that show. Think about it. Trying to get some braces across the county line, and then Roscoe Pico train coming through, and remember that they're going as fast as they can, jumping over the county line, and then as soon as it hits the county line, he has to stop his car. Because if he even goes 1 inch, right, over the county line, he's in big trouble. Now, that show's awesome. Here's the problem, though. What state would you go to? This rule and law for the braces is going to be federal. And if you go to Canada, Canada. Shout out to all my Canadian viewers. It's not you. There's some very, very fine people live in Canada. Justin Trudeau, not so much. I don't think you're going to go there for any safe haven. Mexico. Actually, here's what's interesting. More Americans are leaving by the day to go to Mexico because they can actually realize more freedom there than in America. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. I've never been, but it's a pretty big movement. Maybe Mexico for more freedom than the United States. I wish I was being sarcastic, but maybe, probably I'm not being. I don't know. Let me know if any of you guys have been there. Maybe Mexico is where you go for more freedom. I'm not sure. Ron Moman with the super chat. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate it, man. He says, proud to be in the 2A EDU community. Well, I'm proud too, because that's you guys in the chat here, and I really appreciate you guys being here, man. Thanks, Ron. And thanks to everybody. You guys are awesome. Chris Lang, you're not going to see Dukes of Hazzard because of a flag. Yeah, well, I'll show whatever flag I want, okay? I'm not from the South. I'm not of the South. It's not my flag per se, but all my Dukes of Hazzard stuff has it on there. So there you go. James Kawasaki with a member super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. He says, God is great. Guns are good. Government hates you. Yeah, actually. I agree. Look, this Republican Party, so-called Republican Party, don't get me started on them. Don't get me started on Lindsey Graham, John Cornyn. Talked about this last week a little bit. That's not the focus of tonight. These background checks. Got more comments in the last week than I did the week before of people delayed on their background check again. Have to give their information over to be given to federal and local police. Some people are getting real worried about that. They're saying, well, I don't even know if I want to buy guns anymore. If now my information gets given over to the police, I don't want to be on a list. It's like, well, you're already on a list. You work hard. You work way too hard because the government's manipulating commodities, currency. They're manipulating everything so much that your dollar doesn't even get you anywhere. Hyperinflation like I've never seen before. 12, 14%. Yeah, right. To believe that requires a listener to be dumber than the speaker. Ticks me off to even insult my intelligence. 12 to 14%. My gas and groceries and diesel and everything else I'm buying is double in price. And then the same dollar gets taxed so many times that 90% of all money in circulation ends up being taxes. But there's 86,000 or 87,000 more IRS agents to make sure it's eventually 100%, because won't be enough. It's never enough. People that want gun control, it's never enough. You give them background checks, they're going to go for this and they're going to go for that till every last one's gone. Speaking of bureaucracies, the IRS isn't going to slow down until 100% of your paycheck is for taxes. But the little bit that you get to keep out of your paycheck that doesn't go in your fuel tank, because fuel's almost all taxes. By the way, where's Hunter? Is he still working at the head of an energy place? Just think about that. The former vice president's son. Where's Hunter? Working on the board of an energy company. In Ukraine, as energy prices are skyrocketing, my natural gas bill is up about 65-70% in that ballpark. What about yours? Some of you heat with what's called fuel oil, which is basically diesel fuel. That's what it really is. Your fuel oil's doubled, sometimes tripled. But even after all of that, and that makes it really hard, you scrimped and saved just enough to purchase a firearm. People are coming into my comment section saying, I finally got the money together. It was tough because it's so expensive to eat and to drive a vehicle and insurance upon insurance and blah, 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 right? You guys know what I'm saying. And I get delayed. And now the gun shop owner has to give my information to local law enforcement and federal law enforcement. For what? To possibly investigate you? Because there's a bureaucracy that shouldn't even be allowed to exist at all, enforcing a law that shouldn't be allowed to exist at all, making people where they're leaving me comments on my YouTube channel at 2 a.m. They should be sleeping like a baby. God bless them. They've been working 80 hours a week just to try to barely make ends meet. Now they can't sleep at night because their information is getting turned over to law enforcement because they got a delay because some inept bureaucracy that can't do their job right, that can't do anything right, gave them a false delay. It's been going on a lot lately. Way too much. I saw one from Gort that I missed. If you could pull it back up there, Linda, for me real quick, please. Marco Polo with a super chat and a channel member. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you. He says, good stream. Thank you for the updates on deals. Yeah, if anybody has any money and is looking for any ammo, gun-related stuff, I cannot promote sites like that here. But my locals community, which is censorship-free, there's actually some really good deals to be had right now. Like, lowest price in the country on 9mm and 5.56 and actually a really cool Taurus revolver that I posted on locals just a couple hours ago. So thanks, Marco. I appreciate it, man. Gort says the government did not give us gun rights. God did. Exactly, man. You get it. I hope everyone here who's watching right now understands that. And that's encouragement. Look, this is a depressing topic, but that's good news. That's something I hope everyone can cherish and spread the good news to everybody they know. This government didn't give you your rights. They can't legitimately take it away. The only thing you can really do is sit by and do nothing while evil prevails, and you can give up your free exercise. You can choose not to exercise your rights. You do have that choice. But the government did not give you your rights, and therefore they cannot legitimately take them from you. Now, if it's literally just you, Gort, or if it's just me, or if it's just James Kawasaki, or if it's just Jane Locke, or just Mateo, or Misty, Mrs. Wayne, if it's just any one or two of us, or even five of us, of course they can. They're called jackboots for a reason. They'll come in, shoot your dog, women, dog first, then women and children, then they come. I mean, I wish that wasn't true. But we need to remember things like what happened at Ruby Ridge with Randy Weaver. Started with a dog. Remember that? Dog, infant baby, son, infant baby. Mother comes out with a baby saying, I have a baby. Took the mom out. You look at Waco, Texas. Gassed, flammable gases. If you guys don't remember that, you need to look it up. if you even questioned whether some of these bureaucracies are evil, just go look up those two, and that's just the start. Dog, women, and children first, and then, of course, if it's just me or if it's just you or just you, but if there was millions of people, like there were during Prohibition, that said, no, enough's enough. We're going to drink alcoholic liquor, whether you want us to or not. It stopped, and they actually repealed the constitutional amendment that had prohibited it. Now, we did have an election. I saw the corner of my eye. Somebody said, who voted for these people? I don't know. I don't know anybody that voted for anybody. Who even knows anymore? I did vote, and I think we should vote. Why? Because it's the least we can do. Do it. It's quick. It's easy. I think it's our duty to vote, but that never, ever meant, not coming from my mouth, not coming from the founding fathers, you don't just go vote once every couple of years or every 4 years or every whatever and think that's enough. That's not enough. We're in the middle of a civil war right now. Part of the culture wants to end America. Part of the culture is happy that most of America's already gone. Part of the culture wants to make sure we'll never get it back, what we've lost. And I hate to tell you guys this, but I don't want to lie to you because I have too much respect for you all to lie to you. I'd like to say there's more of us good ones than bad ones, but I, again, don't want to lie to you. I think the vast, vast majority of the people in this country have gotten to the point where they just don't either care at all. So they've become what's been known as a useful idiot. And they just don't care. And they're just too lazy to care. And they're dumb down to the point where they're just like, whatever. They breathe the air. They do whatever. Partake in any deadly sin they possibly can and say, oh, look, I'm going to live like Sodom and Gomorrah and just expect this country to stay great. I think there's a lot of people like that, to be honest with you. Probably more people than I would like to even know. So when I say half, it's not an even half. The vast majority of the people in this country right now either want to completely and utterly destroy it, every last bit of it, and they'll tell you so themselves. You don't have to take my word for it. Go listen to the radical left wing, the commies of this country. And then there's so many people that just don't care, but there's still a few of us. Even if it's a small percentage, there's still a lot of people that would like to keep America or have America again. And there's been different times where things have waxed and they've waned in this country. And a lot of times when they go to take a little bit too much, the people come back and they say, no, you went too far. Now, for people like me and probably you, the fact that we even have one gun control law is too much because the supreme law of the land says shall not be infringed. Well, okay. But when will it be enough? Enough treading on our natural rights. Enough gun control. Because just remember, when they say gun control, gun is not the operative word, actually. The operative word is control. And they have to take your guns away from you, and then they can control you, which is what they ultimately want. Well, there's supposedly tens of millions of these pistol brace owners in this country right now. Well, okay. If there were 10 million brace owners in this country, just think about that. Some people say there could be many, many more, 20, 30 million, even more than that, because they're not regulated items. It's hard for them to know exactly who has them. I don't believe the government when they say there's 5 million. Sure, you can trust the government, right, with their stats. The government says there's 5 million. Give me a break. 10 million, 20 million, 30 million. I don't know. I'll be conservative and say there's 10 million braces, pistol braces in this country. They're probably selling 10,000 a day right now, though, so there's more than that. If 10 million people stood up against something, they wouldn't be able to do anything. I guarantee you that. Now, if there was 10 million braces in this country And if there are 100 million gun owners in this country, which are actually reasonable numbers, I'm not just making those up, that would mean 1 in 10 gun owners have a pistol brace. The other 90 million, don't even think about them. They're not going to care. I've talked to gun owners already. I've talked to 10 gun owners just this week that don't care about braces because they don't own them. They don't care. They didn't care about bump stocks. They don't care about whatever. I get it. Many gun owners are not pro Second Amendment, are not pro God-given natural rights. So set those 90 million aside. 10 million people that own braces. If all 10 million of them rallied around this and said no, they wouldn't be able to do anything. But we're not going to have all 10 million. So what if you said if even 10% of those, if 1 million people in this country, which is 1/10 of the 1/10, you guys are following me, right? Said, no, we're not going to do anything about it. Shall not comply, will not comply. This is unjust. It's unlawful. However they word it. Do you think they'd be able to do anything about 1 million people? No, they wouldn't be able to, actually. They couldn't corral 1 million people. What are they going to do? Line you up outside the federal courthouse? They'd start here in Detroit, Michigan, and I'd be waving to Mrs. Misty Wayne. Misty Mrs. Wayne, I'd say, hey there, darling. Oh, geez, what are you doing in the hills of Kentucky, she'd say. And I'd say, well, nice to see you, but I can't come over and have dinner with you tonight, you and Ron, because I'm in line for the federal courthouse. And she'd look at me and say, darling, you're out in the hills. There ain't the city's that way. I'll say, no, I'm in line for the Detroit courthouse right now. In the back of the line, I got in line early, see? I'm 2A EDU. I had more braces than a lot of people. The line's all the way down there. The back of the line's in Florida. I mean, just think about it. Think about what it would take to get 1 million people into the federal courthouses and put them all up on 10 years or whatever. But if there was just one person or 5 or 10 or something like that, nah, wouldn't even be worth your time. One person can't just be the only one that sits there and says, I shall not comply. I will not comply. And I've never been one on this channel to tell you guys what to do. I'm not telling you guys whether you should comply, whether you shouldn't comply. Because if I tell you that you can't comply, then I guess I'm being your dictator over you and you wouldn't listen to me anyways. But what my hope is and what I urge you is that you actually are thinking about what's going on right now and trying to make more people aware of what's going on right now. They've announced they're going to put out this brace ban rule, whatever it is, in December of 2022. Where I'm at right now, it's the 2nd day of December, which means it might be a week or two. It might be tomorrow. It might be tonight. Maybe they popped it out while I'm streaming right now. Who knows? They usually do bury it on a Friday. If I had to guess, what they'll do is they'll probably put it out on Christmas Eve. They'll probably put it on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, if I had to guess, because people will be busy with friends and family. I think there's many people in the government that would love to take away from people celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. And it would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know when. Why do we even care about braces? Why do we care about bump stocks? Why do we care about forced reset triggers? Really, it doesn't matter to me if I own them or not. I wish I could afford all this stuff. Some of it I can afford and I have. Some of it I can't afford and I don't have, right? Have had, however you want to word it. Now, the reason why I care about all of it, every last thing, is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. And when I hear that, I pause. And I'm like, wow, security of a free state. I want to be free. I want to secure freedom. That's a beautiful thing. And how would we go about that? Because that's what the awesome thing is about the Second Amendment. It doesn't just tell you why. It doesn't just tell you what. It tells you why first, in case there was any doubt. Okay, the security of a free state. I want to be free. All right. Well, how am I going to do that? I have no clue. Oh, it's right there. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's why I care about every last arm, any type of arm. Caliber wars are fun, sure. Brand name wars are fun. And we already know that Taurus is better than Glock, so we don't even need to talk about that. But caught you guys that were napping a little bit there. Big wink to all the Glock guys. Love you. Look, we can have our preferences. We can have whatever. But if they want to ban anything, even one thing, that's repugnant to the Constitution. It's been illegal to ban any type of arms since 1791 in the United States of America. And that's why it all matters. I'll tell you why else it matters. Because who is the law? Well, there's lawmakers. And then there's the fourth branch of government, or if you really look at it deeply, like I was talking about earlier, maybe the bureaucracy is really the only branch of government, and the other ones are a dog and pony show. I don't have a final answer for that, but I actually don't know for sure. Good night, One Love Design. Take it easy, man. No, seriously, we either have a fourth branch of government, which is an unchecked bureaucracy, or they're actually the only branch of government, and the other ones are just a dog and pony show. I don't know. I actually really don't. Maybe one of you guys can answer that for me, or at least think about it and let me know when you figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out, but I may never. I care because, look, we need to look at what all kinds of people who have done good in the world. And we need to really, really dwell on good in the world. And there was good in the world in 1791 when they explained what was necessary to the security of a free state and said, shall not be infringed. And then we look at bad in the world and we look about Mao. It was called the Cultural Revolution in China. Evil. So many millions of people died during that regime. More than we'll ever be able to count. It's not even possible to count. It's really sad. Every one of those people were a gift from God and had something unique to offer this world. And there was many, many people back then and still are today. Many, many fine people that lived in China that lost their lives. Many evil people too. But many, many fine people as well. And Mao said all political power comes from the barrel of a gun. So when people still want to be free in any country, let's go back to the United States of America for a second. And they want to be free, but the government doesn't want them to be free. What do? They bring government men with guns that you pay their salary and you buy their guns and ammo for them. Just think about that. You pay for the people to come and infringe your own freedoms. That's literally how it works. In this country, and as far as I know, all countries, actually. And they come to deprive you of those rights. And they have certain types of firearms. We have the United States military, which it's unconstitutional to do so, but sometimes the United States military is actually deployed. It's the Guard, it's the National Guard, it's the, look, there's a that's a really convoluted thing too. It's the militarized police where you can't tell the difference between a policeman in many cases as you can a United States GI. Actually, you can tell the difference, quite frankly, lately. The US GI is way less armed than the average policeman is in this country nowadays. Military-industrial complex doesn't mean one thing. Keep that in mind. It means many things. What type of arms do they use? Well, they use machine guns, which have been heavily restricted with a tax on a fundamental right since 1934, now banned unless they're grandfathered on a list before 1986. They're worth lots and lots of money, and most of you can't afford one, and neither can I. Okay? If you want a particularly short rifle or shotgun, like the government uses, by the way, the main frontline service rifle in the United States military, the M4 select fire rifle. It's not only a machine gun, according to the National Firearms Act, but it's actually also a short-barreled rifle. Why? Because they decided it was more effective with certain types of warfare, certain types of CQB, which is just a fancy way of saying close quarters combat. The United States government knows that the short-barreled rifle is more agile in vehicles, in hallways, in clearing rooms, in clearing buildings. That's why they have them. And they also know that it's very effective in defending out of vehicles, in close quarters, down hallways, within rooms. They also know that. And that's why they want to ban them or restrict them heavily or burden them and put a hurdle with a tax. And in the opinion of the United States government, and the opinion of the Attorney General, he thinks, they think, whoever they even are, they think the government, the people that are above the government and the AFT, they think it's not enough just to do a $200 tax stamp on a short-barreled rifle. That's not unconstitutional enough. They're now saying that if you have a pistol with a brace that was originally designed for disabled veterans, and that's a very, very good purpose for them. And I hope there's disabled veterans that are able to utilize their pistol brace to still be able to shoot, whether it's for recreation and enjoyment, because you have the right to that too, by the way, or so they can protect their family from thieves, from thugs, or from the government. But I just repeated myself. Thieves, thugs, the government, and I repeating myself again, aren't I? But also for everybody else too. For everybody else to be able to brace their pistol, to be able to physically handle it better, to be able to aim better, to be able to be more proficient with it, to brace it in many different manners in which they could have better control over that short firearm. That's literally provable in many, many instances to be the best offensive and then therefore defensive weapon. See, if the United States government just didn't like firearms with short barrels, they would get rid of them themselves. Have you guys thought about that yet? Seriously, think about it. They would get rid of them themselves if they thought that they weren't a suitable firearm for anything. No. To prove how suitable they are, they're still keeping them themselves, and they're buying more and more and more and more and more. Well, like I said, you can hardly even tell the difference between half the policemen and a USGI anymore, except for the police are more well-armed usually. No, they know how effective they are for many reasons. That's why, in my opinion, they want to take them from you or put potential hurdles in front of you or get you to put yourself on a registry and a list. Now, allegedly, I say allegedly because we don't know yet, but allegedly, as reported, they're going to offer an amnesty. An amnesty. What's an amnesty? Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I can give you the quick gist of it. An amnesty would mean you committed a crime in the past, okay? And the government's still going to say you committed a crime. You're going to acknowledge you committed the crime, but they're just going to give you a pass and not prosecute you. One example of an amnesty I can think of was provided by Jimmy Carter, President Carter. See, a lot of people evaded the draft for the Vietnam War. Now, I see some people who are Vietnam vets that served bravely for their country during the Vietnam War. And this might be controversial, and if one of you guys get mad at me, try not to get mad at me. Just disagree with me, and we can still be friends. I actually see both sides of that, believe it or not. If you disagree with me, please tell me you disagree. I can handle it. Trust me. I actually do see both sides of it. I see the side of serving your country. During the Vietnam War, I actually understood why some people wanted to dodge it. I actually understand both sides. And I think both sides have merit to it, quite frankly. But there were a lot of people who dodged the draft and they left and they went to places like Canada. Well, they had committed a high crime to do that. And they were going to go to prison if they were to ever come back. So they made an amnesty. And they said, all right, we're giving an amnesty. All of you can come back and we won't arrest you. We won't put you in prison, whatever. That's an example of what an amnesty is. Now, that was never the government saying that those draft dodgers didn't break a law. They didn't say it then. They're still not saying that. Amnesty is where you broke a law. It was acknowledged that you did it. And it's still illegal, but we're just going to give you a pass on it and like not try to prosecute you. So it's first important to understand what an amnesty actually means. Because it's not their assertion. It's not their assertion that all of a sudden these braces will become short-barreled rifles or shotguns because you can put them on many firearms all of a sudden on a magical date. They're asserting, no, actually, that's the way it was all along. We're just now clarifying it. See? According to them, I'm just using these words because it's so convoluted, illegal right now, according to them, but they might be willing to give you an amnesty. This is allegedly, as reported. I don't know for sure. What's happening, A-Dubs? A-Dub says, don't go trying to attribute reason to why government adopts firearms. Money is the top 3 reasons, with reason coming in 9th or 10th. Okay, yeah, I get that. Reason isn't often. Thank you for that opinion. I still stand by what I say. I believe there's reasons why the United States government adopts short firearms. I know there's, yes, thank you for that. I definitely think there are literal physical reasons why the government wants short-barreled firearms. And I think there's a reason why so many people have braced pistols in this country right now. So possibly there'll be an amnesty. Again, not a lawyer. And even all these internet lawyers, they're not your lawyer. I'm just a guy talking, though. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of a possible trap, even. To be honest. If they do have it where there's this amnesty and you can get this is all rumored, allegedly rumored. Nobody can know this for a fact right now. There's some people that are saying it, and they're very smart people, and it's not that I distrust them. It's just nobody can know exactly what it's going to be because it hasn't come out yet. But it's coming soon, this brace ban rule. If there is this amnesty period where you can get a free tax stamp, nothing's free. There is no free lunch. I wonder, and I'm suspicious of, if it could be a trap because allegedly you would have to take pictures of all of it and basically give the state all the evidence it would need to prosecute you. Have you guys thought about that one yet? I mean, literally. For those of you that haven't been keeping track of everything, this might sound like a conspiracy show tonight. Well, dude, look where we're at right now. Oh my gosh, so much stuff has happened in the last few years that I thought I would either never see or would take a lot longer down the road to see our country de-evolve so quickly. What's the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? Well, quite simply, just wait a few days or weeks. I mean, there's usually only a couple days or weeks that separates a conspiracy theory from the truth nowadays. But it is only a theory of mine because it hasn't happened yet. You guys remember Obamacare? Well, you have to pass the bill before you can read what's in the bill. This has to pass before we know what it says. But it doesn't pass. It's not voted on by anybody that we voted for. Do you remember when Stalin of Russia, of USSR, of the Bolsheviks, Stalin, Joseph Stalin. You guys have heard of him. Not a very good guy. he had said, it's not who votes that matters, but who counts the votes. Now let's fast forward to just a few weeks ago. The former vice president of, I wish Russia, no, the former vice president of the United States. Let's go, Brandon. The most popular and fortified of all time, and that's according to Time Magazine, Susan Wiki. He came on and said, it's who counts the votes. Somebody said that to me the other day. They're like, no, he couldn't have said that. That was a Stalin quote. I said, well, the former vice president just said it. And they said, oh, you mean the former vice president of Russia in 1942, right? I'm like, I wish that's what I meant. No, I mean the former vice president of the United States of America just said that. Just to put this into perspective, I mean, but I have theories about this amnesty. And I have theories about this supposed free tax stamp. You know, I'm not a very big Ronald Reagan fan. I'm really not. But he did have some catchy, quotable lines. And he said some of the scariest words an American can hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Now, Chad, help me understand this, because I'm actually asking you guys a favor right now. I don't ask a whole lot of you, but I need some help right now. I've actually had some people coming to me lately, gun owners and brace owners, in comments here on the internet and even in real life, and they're like, dude, well, the government is going to help us out a little bit here. Because allegedly, according to, this is just according to videos I've seen and stuff I've read, I don't know yet. But allegedly, they're going to give us a free tax stamp. I'm like, hold on, the government's going to give what and help? And they said, well, no, by definition, that's them helping us out. They're going to throw us a bone. Somebody even told me this recently. They said, aren't you excited? Dude, this is awesome, they said. And they were like, yes, the braces. And I'm like, oh, dude, I've been working all day. I work too much to watch all the videos. Do I need to get over to guns and gadgets right now? Did they just, did the brace ban get canceled? They're like, no, dude, but it's coming soon. And I'm like, what? Dude, we can have free SBRs now. Are you kidding me? This is the best thing that's ever happened. I can't wait. I'm going to get free tax stamps on all 20 of my brace pistols. And then when I do, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm like, whoa. Well, let's back up, bud. How's the government going to help? Dude, they're throwing us a bone. I mean, they hate us, but not quite that much. They're going to give us a free tax stamp. I'm like, well, hold on a minute. That sounds like on the same level as getting a free train ride to a camp in the 1940s in Germany to me. I don't want a free train ride. I don't want a free tax stamp. I don't want a free boot on my neck. I want to be free, but I don't want anything for free from this government. Because there's no such thing as that. It's all a trade-off. So if they do provide a tax stamp, one thing I'm suspicious of, one thing I can pretty much prove. Either A, it's a trap outright, and they're like, haha, suckers. Haha, you just went in there, and you said, all right, here's pictures of it, excuse me? If they were trying to prosecute somebody for making an illegal whatever, they'd have to find it and take pictures of it. No, you'll take pictures of it, you'll fill out the form, you'll ascertain under penalty of perjury that you promise this is exactly what it is. Did they just declare it illegal? So I'm suspicious it could be a trap. But even if it's not a trap, I can guarantee you this is what it is. It would be putting it on the National Firearms Act registry and subjecting it to the provisions of the National Firearms Act, which means you put it on a registry. That means they know the serial number, the location, all of your unique identifiable information, not only on you, but on the firearm itself. So they know right where it's at. See, a thief goes into a neighborhood and they say, well, hold on a minute. That house might have a whole big safe full of jewels and money and whatever, but it might not. Or is it that house? Or is it that one? Or is it that one? And they're looking in a neighborhood of 200 houses. And they're like, I don't know what it is. Then they think to themselves, is there a gun behind that door? Where this will be my last attempt at a home invasion? Or that door, or that door, or that door? There's things that deter a little bit. There's things that make a thief guess a little bit. Well, thief government. I'm sorry I keep repeating myself so much tonight, guys. Thief government. When it's put on a registry, they know exactly where it is, what it does. That's the scariest part, but it doesn't stop there. You're also restricted on crossing state lines with it. You know, I had a friend that wanted to bring a machine gun at the last minute to the state of Michigan so we could shoot it, but we couldn't. He couldn't because you have to fill out a permission slip that can take weeks and sometimes months to be granted ahead of time before you can cross state lines with a National Firearms Act item. Just think about that. Now, some of you, and God bless Texas, live in the great state of Texas, and it's so huge and you live in the middle of it, it would take you 1,000 years just to travel out of it. You'll never leave the state. Okay, maybe. Some people live right on the border, though, where you live here, your parents live 5 miles away, which is in another state. Some of you like to travel around. Hampers your freedom of movement throughout these 50 states. A National Firearms Act item is highly, highly regulated. It comes with scrutiny. It comes with you consenting where every so often they can either come to your home to look at your NFA items or meet up with you at the local office. Sometimes I've heard they just come to your house outright, period. But the way it's supposed to work is that you can set up an appointment to show them to them for an inspection at the local office, or they can come to your home. I don't own NFA items, but that's the way I understand it. I don't understand any of it because gun control has been illegal since 1791. So how any of this could exist at all? But under the National Firearms Act, now there's other states that say you can't own NFA items. Some states say you can't own a short-barreled rifle or a short-barreled shotgun or a machine gun or a silencer, muffler, moderator. We like to call them suppressors, and that's fine, but that's what they're called legally. Silencers or mufflers or moderators or destructive devices or AOW, which is any other weapon, which has an actual definition in the NFA, but the bureaucracies now just said, hey, if we don't like it, we'll just throw it into a AOW. Okay. Some states can't have some of these different laws in different states. Some restrict more or less than others. If you live in Michigan, it's going to look no different, in my opinion, than California, New York, soon to be Oregon. Michigan's going to be exactly like that. Very quick, in my opinion, if we can't do something about it, if we can't really, really pressure the legislature, if there's any hope in that at all, I'm going to try my hardest with the Michigan legislature, talk to as many of them as I can. I hope all of you are doing that in your states as well. But no, this brace thing, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. There's a reason why tens of millions of people own these. They do make the firearms more comfortable, easier to wield, more accurate, and quite frankly, more safe. You guys have seen it before where somebody's struggling with a gun and it's flailing all over the place. But with a brace where it can be secured and braced in different fashions, okay? There's different places, ways people brace. I mean, I think that's a good idea to have it where disabled people can exercise their natural rights as close to equally as possible. Look, we're all created equal in the eyes of God. We all have the pursuit of happiness, but everybody's not equal. Everybody's not dealt the same exact hand in life. Sometimes you're born certain ways different than other people. Sometimes things happen to you that make you now different than other people. But at least we're disabled people can at least have a chance to try to be able to shoot as normal as possible again. I think that's a very American ideal, don't you guys? This brace rule is repugnant to the three branches of government, in my opinion, because the executive branch does not have the authority in the Constitution to make laws. It's repugnant to the right to keep and bear arms because we should be able to keep and bear all arms, especially the ones that the government keeps and bears, we the people. Because if a well-regulated militia is necessary to the security of a free state, that obviously means it should just be just as well armed as the government. If not, it wouldn't be able to do anything to protect security and safety and happiness. But when you read the Declaration, it's very, very clear that they want we the people to protect our own safety and happiness and our own security as enumerated and protected in the Bill of Rights in Amendment number 2. It's repugnant to that. It's repugnant to privacy, that you would have to fill out extra paperwork and give up your most intimate details and be put on a list, on a registry. It's definitely repugnant to being secure in your effects and your papers, because when you have a National Firearms Act item, you actually have to keep the tax stamp paperwork with you. You guys know that, right? To be secure against unreasonable searches and seizures in your effects and in your papers. Oh, yeah. It becomes a show me your papers, by the way, if stopped by law enforcement. It's repugnant to you being able to make your decisions on what type of firearm that you decide for any reason, or actually no reason at all, because it ain't none of the government's business why you decide that it suits your needs best. It's repugnant to that. You know, there's been a lot of hot political topics, and if the whole Second Amendment embrace has got even a tenth of the attention of other hot political issues, we probably wouldn't have this brace ban. But people talk a lot about the right to life, or a right to a woman's body, a choice. Okay? Very, very hot debate in this country right now. It has been for a long time. Well, I have the right to my person to be able to protect my body however I want, and so do you. And I have the right to protect life, my life, other people's lives, by whatever means necessary, and so do you. This isn't just a Second Amendment issue. This is a life issue. This is a liberty issue. My body, my choice. Well, that's all right. Then I'll decide I don't want something jabbed in my arm if I don't want it. I'll decide what to carry on my person and keep and bear to protect my body and my person. People make certain political tropes. Why don't we start using it that way? It's also a property rights issue. And the founding documents say that they can't just take your property without just compensation. You can't be deprived property without due process of law or life. If you get rid of someone's ability to defend themselves, you could now be depriving them of their life. Obviously, literally. If you take something from somebody or make them destroy it on their own or set it aside and not use it, that's depriving somebody of property without due process of law. See, this brace thing is not just a Second Amendment issue. It's also a First Amendment issue, because if you do decide you shall not comply, and that's up to you. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not going to investigate you. Don't want to. Don't care what you guys do. I'm curious, but at the same time, I don't even want to know what you guys do. Don't tread on me, and we're good. There you go. Other than that, who cares what you do? Why would I want to know? But we will be stifled in being able to talk about things and show certain things. So it's also repugnant to property rights and to the First Amendment. Now, these arm braces still, as of right this minute, are totally legal to buy, and it's still classified as a pistol. I thought it says that they can't make any ex post facto laws in the Constitution. Oh, it actually does, doesn't it? It's legal when you did it, but now it ain't legal when you did it? I mean, how far are they going with this? Well, I'll save you guys some time. It's repugnant to everything that's America, to come in and take something that's lawfully owned. Let me find an inanimate object here. I have a Bluetooth headset here. The government can't deprive me of this without due process. And if they did follow due process, I would have to be given just compensation for this. Well, that's crazy because there's no amendment. Does the Third Amendment to say the right to keep and bear a Bluetooth headset shall not be infringed? No. But it does say the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed in the Second Amendment. Now, truth is treason in the empire of lies. And just think about this. It's kind of like, excuse me, what? The very thing that says shall not be infringed is the one they actually want to take easier and more rapidly than anything else. Besides, of course, the other things that are enumerated, like freedom of speech, freedom to peaceably assemble, redress of grievances against your government. Freedom of religion is violated in so many ways. It's almost to the point now where the stuff that's not specifically enumerated, like written in the founding documents to be very specifically by name protected, the stuff that's not written down there, they don't care about any of that. Only the stuff that was literally, pointedly, with precision and accuracy written down, that's the only stuff they want to decimate. Wow. It's actually kind of true, though, isn't it? The feminists out there, shout out to all the awesome women in this chat, by the way. The feminists out there, they should be ticked off at the brace ban. Because they probably won't want to admit it, but men are usually much stronger than women, actually. Most men I know could wield a very large, heavy pistol without a brace much easier than many women can. It's actually true, feminists. Sorry. But where are they at? It's repugnant to women who have a harder time wielding some of these large firearms without bracing them. It's repugnant to disabled people who may not be able to hold a pistol with two hands because they may have lost one hand, or maybe they weren't born with it at all. It's repugnant to those people. And quite frankly, it's repugnant to the middle-aged or young male that has nothing wrong with them at all. Because you have property rights too. And when you bought something that was totally legal and now it's illegal, that's not the way the United States of America is supposed to work. And everybody has the right to keep and bear arms. Whether they need a brace or they want a brace or they don't need it or they don't want it. You know, this country does have the ability to change the Constitution. It actually does. But the Constitution hasn't been changed as far as the Second Amendment goes. It has not been repealed. There has not been another amendment ratified that says, well, what the Second Amendment really means is the right to maybe keep and bear certain arms that are suitable to the former vice president, which would come down to double-barreled shotguns, because he just admitted, I talked about it last time, he wants to ban all semi-autos. He wants to ban all semi-autos. What's happening, Frag Out Designs? Shout out to that awesome Taurus engraving going on. Shout out to all of your engraving, but you know what I mean, specifically the Taurus stuff. Very talented, man. Let's talk here after the new year when you get caught up. I want a cool Taurus, 2A EDU Taurus or something cool. Very, very talented guy, Frag Out Designs. He said, or toasters, right? No, Jane gets it. Shout out to Jane Locke. She said, heck yeah, it's true. I'm a big girl. I'm not anywhere near as strong as a small man. Sure, and that's fine. I don't want a woman that's stronger than me. You know what I'm saying? That's a good thing. Totally fine. I'm just saying, where's all the people on the left that are supposed to be of women's rights? Of this rights, of that rights? We shouldn't even need to talk about Second Amendment issues or First Amendment issues. It should just be, do we want to be free or do we not want to be free? Is really what it comes down to. We're going to see what happens with this brace rule. I'm not sure because I haven't seen it yet. But they've declared that it's imminent. Now, if you want to, there's a worksheet you can fill out. You can fill out a worksheet. Yeah. Now, look. My daughter, I was talking to her about her homework the other day. I said, how'd you do on your most recent test? And she said, well, she got an A on her spelling test and also A on her handwriting test, which is awesome. I think it's good that children learn how to spell and learn how to write. They actually still write cursive in her school, believe it or not. Not many schools do. And her school's actually not woke. And there's barely any that aren't woke. Very, very small little school. The school is so small that there's like less than 20 people in the 5th grade. And I don't mean like in her 5th grade class. I mean, no, there's only one 5th grade class. There's one class per grade. There's 20 people in the whole school in the 5th grade. And she brings home worksheets, and she does worksheets at school. I'm over 40 years old. I was out there today picking up leaves where there's so many leaves under. There's so many trees in this area, okay, at this customer's house, that it makes a dense canopy of shade. So much shade that the grass can't grow underneath it. So it's all dirt underneath it all summer, and then it's all leaves when they fall. So I'm out there with my big, powerful backpack blower and zero-turn mower, blowing them around and sucking them up and, doing all that stuff and mulching them down to powder. I'm out there in this dust cyclone. I'm wearing an N95 mask because that is actually an excellent reason to wear a mask, right? I'm wearing the mask and doing all that. I still got some past it and still having a hard time right now with all congested. And the last thing a full-grown man like me is going to do is do a worksheet like a 5th grader or a 3rd grader. I'm sorry. I'm not going to bring him an apple either. You can fill out a worksheet. Give me a break. I'm an American. I don't have time for your crap. Does anyone else feel that same way? Some of you work a long, hard job in a cubicle or in a classroom or in a vehicle that you work in all day or turning wrenches, busting your knuckles. I know a lot of you guys either currently do or have worked really, really hard in your life. There's never enough time to do everything. Do you want to fill out worksheets? Hold on a minute. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. I like that, don't you? That's not a trick question. Of course. The right to fill out a worksheet to see if you're allowed to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That must be what it says now, right? Think about this. The right to fill out a worksheet to see if you can keep and bear this arm shall not be infringed. Ultra Mega Mama is going to sleep. All right. Thank you so much for helping out. Do I have a couple starred chats here? Am I up to date on starred chats? I will grab those real quick. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for Ultra Mega Mama Linda, I wouldn't have that beautiful little girl that goes to school and fills out worksheets. And yes, her school is better than most. And good night, honey. I love you. Guess with the super chat. Thank you, Guess. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you're still here for me to thank you. Sometimes I get off on these little rants. Thank you so much. Linda sent out a swag pack for you, or is going to this weekend. She's had a tough week, but I know we're going to send you out a couple of things. She says, my brother, U.S. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully you're hanging in there, doing all right. I hope all of you guys are hanging in there and doing good. Seriously. For some people, this stream might be a disappointment because I'm probably afterwards going to get a bunch of people coming in the comments saying, what exactly with the brace rule? Look, there's lots of videos about that. I've done videos about that. I just didn't want to sit there and have my head spin with all these thoughts and just have them sit there in my head, wondering about things, wondering what's truly going on, wondering what it's going to finally take for this crap to stop. So I got on here with my friends tonight and talking to you guys about this stuff. Now, this is just my opinion, but naturally my opinion is going to bleed through on my show because this is what I do and I put out what I think here. But I know I can't be the only person thinking about this, and I hope this conversation is useful for you all. I actually think, in my opinion, talking about it the way we are tonight, just thinking about all this might be much more important than actually what does Section 3, subsection A, subsection Q, B say on the worksheet. Now, if the worksheet says it's 1 inch, what if it's 1.001 inch? Well, that depends on what the definition of the word is. There's all those questions, and I know some of you guys have those. I don't know the answer to all those specifics right now. And I don't know what the final rule is going to say, and I don't even know what day it's going to come out. But I know it is going to come out. It's going to come out soon. And I do pray about these topics. And I don't believe that it's fair or it's easy enough for me just to pray to God and say, God, would you please grant me my wish that braces won't be banned? I don't think it works that way. Now, if you guys pray or not is a very intimate decision. What you pray to or how you pray is, but I'm just giving you guys a little insight to me. But I do pray to God for the strength and the courage to try to stand up to evil and to stand up to tyranny and to try to spread the good word and get more good people united together against tyranny. So to me, the actual broad topic of what the heck's going on here, how far down the road are we? How have we even gotten to the point where we could even have a brace rule? I think itself is probably even more important than the nuts and bolts of what it is. Because it's coming and it's going to affect 10, 20, 30, 40 million people. And I want to think about things. And I want you guys to think about it. Some of you are already hot rodding your car up so you can start your own bootlegging operation back and forth from Canada across the, I'm talking about the bootleggers back in the prohibition of alcohol days. There's lots of things going on, and a lot of them just come to two different things: good versus evil, America versus not America. Look, there's the awesome people, very fine people that live in every country of the whole world, and some of you may be watching right now, and I wish you well, and I think you're awesome people. I have people from Great Britain that come in here. I have people from Canada and from Brazil and from Philippines, all over the place. And I really like you guys. But I think you understand that if you've been listening to me this long and haven't unsubbed yet, I don't want the United States of America to be like other countries. I want to live in an experiment on self-governance of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as soon as it is destructive of those, it's the right and the duty for the people to abolish it. We need to abolish the ATF. Look, you need to vote, and that's important, but that's not all. I think some people misconstrued, even though I was trying to be very, very clear. Guys, we all need to vote, but that's not it, though. That's like barely even a teeny part of it. The other things that you do in your life are probably 99 times more important than just voting. That's a very small portion. Always has been. But it's still important. I think talking about this stuff, thinking about this stuff, and deciding what's going to happen. Now, look, I'm going to move over here real quick. I'm going to thank Ben for the super chat so we can see the picture here. Ben Dover with the super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Said, those are the people that can be pacified by bread and circuses. You know, when I think about that a lot, I'm like, man, really? People just sit there and are just pacified and just, yeah, probably a lot of people are, actually. It's true. I hope you're not that way. I'm pretty sure you're not. Hopefully you can remind some of your good friends about that. Ruthless Rex. God bless America. Yes. God bless America. God bless all of you. Now, look, I took the brace off in the picture. Okay, see behind me there? That's a nice rig. I can show that and the AK with the brace on it tomorrow night if you guys want to join me on my local stream where I touch guns. Links down in the description of this and every video to join my community. You can join for free or you can support. You can actually join for free and support financially for free too. Brace is back on there. I just took it off for the thumbnail for people to think about it. It might do you some good. Just think, this is something to think about. Again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't want to know what you do. Not on the internet. Why would I want to know what you do? Look, it does something to you, though. Humor me, and if you disagree with me, let me know later on. Say, no, dude, it did nothing. It does something. Look at this. So that pistol, 11.5-inch AR pistol, carry handle. It's a PSA 5.56. It has the Magpul BTR brace on it. See it back there? I can just point, guys. I can't touch guns in live streams. That's a handy little rig right there. Now look at that Romanian Micro Draco in the back. 7.62x39. Triangle folding brace. SB 1913. It's a really nice brace too. Both of those are formidable little PDW rigs. They really actually are. Pros and cons to both. You guys know where I'm going to fall, but there you go. Look, I like ARs and AKs. You guys know where I lean between the two, but they're both formidable little rigs. Take your brace off your firearm tonight and look at it without it on there. I'm being serious. Just think about it. Look at it right now how it is. I took it off for the thumbnail just so you guys could see it off of there and be like, wait a minute. You guys can let me know right now if you've already done this. If not, let me know later. But I think it just kind of does something to you psychologically. Look at your rig and be like, yes, I'm proud of this. I spent my hard-earned money on it. Just take that brace off, set it aside and look at it. And then look at the brace and look at it. Think about how much money you spent on the brace. You know what I'm saying? Think about how nice it was to shoot it while it was braced. Food for thought. I'm not advocating for anyone to do anything or not do anything is the moral of the story. But I think it's a very, very important thing to think about. And I do remember when America said with prohibition, nope, that's enough. You're not going to ban our alcohol. Dude, look, I don't drink a drop, guys. But if alcohol was banned, I would have been right there with everybody else. Why? Because I would hope people that don't like guns as much as me would also be there fighting for that, because we all need to fight for people's rights. I've seen a couple people out of the corner of my eye say, well, you know, I don't even have a brace, so I don't care. All right. I could respond back and say, well, some of my circumstances in life are different than yours, so I don't care about you. I could do that, but I'm not going to. I care about everybody, but people also have to stand up for themselves and be encouraged enough in and of themselves to stand up for this country. If it's a country of the people and by the people and supposed to be for the people, that's a real easy way to sum up what's prescribed in the Declaration of Independence. You actually have to do something about it. Talk to people about it. By a very slim majority, the United States House is majority Republican. Jim Jordan is now going to be incoming, I should say, committee chair for the Judiciary Committee. He's already written scathing letters. He's written scathing letters to different government bureaucrats, bureaucracies. We'll see what happens. I hope we don't just have a fourth branch of government that's no longer accountable to anybody. If they're still accountable at all, I urge all of you, this is something you guys can actually do. Because all I've really talked about is just philosophy tonight. And try to just talk about like what is America and the ideals of things and the bigger picture of things. But I'm going to wrap it up with this, some point source things that you can actually do. Get a hold of Congressman Jim Jordan's office. Send him a little note. It doesn't have to be long. Just say, I need you to step in on this brace ban, this pistol brace ban. I need you to rein in the ATF or the EPA or IRS. Look, guys, is Jim Jordan going to save you? No, but he was elected to the People's House. I was driving through his district in Ohio just about a month ago, and I was there with my friend Frank. I'm like, dude, look, we're in Jim Jordan's district right now. Does anyone live in that part of Ohio? Shout out to Ohio. I already gave Texas a shout out earlier, Clover. Shout out to Clover. And if you're into sports cards, his Clover Tech Cards channel. Any of you guys into sports cards when you were a kid, still are now as an adult? Maybe he's into the vintage stuff. If any of you guys were into the stuff in the 80s and 90s, his card channel is pretty cool. His streams, you'll see half gun community in there and half card people. So shout out to the Clover Tech channel and the Clover Tech cards, which I actually thoroughly enjoy. Now, we're driving through, right? I'm like, dude, we're in Jim Jordan's district. And he was driving, though, so he didn't have his... I'm glad he was, I'm looking off to the side. He's like, how do you know? I'm like, dude, I just saw one of his campaign signs right there. Can't really trust any of them. However, Jim Jordan seems better than most at the very least. I think I actually like him. I think he's a bulldog. And he's now the committee chair of probably the most powerful, one of the top two most powerful committees. Well, he will be in just a few weeks. You guys get what I'm saying. Call up Jim Jordan and encourage him. Your United States representative. Congress does have the power of the purse. The United States House of Representatives does have the ability to subpoena people in, hold hearings. They have the ability to defund or not fund certain agencies, right? So there you go. That's something you guys can like logistically work on. Now, I saved this part to the very end because I think winning the culture war, making the Second Amendment normal again, making guns completely normal again. Take your children out shooting, your nieces, your nephews, your grandkids. It's very, very important. Getting more and more youth into firearms and understanding the Second Amendment and understanding fundamental natural rights is extremely important. We have to fight in the here and now, but we have to plan for the fact that there's some people raising their children right now to want to take your guns away. So you need to be raising your children to want to be free. The whole, I know you guys are tired of it, and if I read through the chat later, there's probably going to be a couple people saying, call your congressman, whatever. Look, do whatever you guys want. But we do have a committee chair right now that says he's willing to come out. He's willing to come out and lead from the front. Is he perfect? No, but I do think that Jim Jordan's a bulldog. So get a hold of your congressman. Like I said, he's only one person. But maybe there's enough people in the House now with these recent elections to do something about this. The House of Representatives has the power to do something about this. It's the people's house. So if you want to exercise your authority over your government, I do think that's part of it. Again, that's not the only thing. Just voting's not enough. Just calling your congressman isn't enough. Okay? There's things you need to do in your everyday life, and that's very, very important. But it might be a good time to be calling the congressman right now. If you live in a swing district where they're not quite sure if they'll get reelected with or without the gun vote, use that to your advantage. Say, gun people aren't going to vote for you if you don't do something about these braces and the ATF. There's a little strategy there. I really think so. Jeff Crone with the Bible verse, 223. Here's a 223. 1 Thessalonians 5:11, I think is what he's quoting there. It says, encourage and build each other up. Thank you for that. I appreciate your encouragement, and I encourage all of you. I hope, do you guys consider each other friends by now? I've been reading some of the same people in these chats for a couple of years. I hope you guys are encouraging each other and have made friends in here, and I appreciate all of your encouragement. I really do. Ben Dover with another super chat. Thanks, Ben. You guys get it? Ben Dover. Ben Dover. It's one of those funny. Depends how you read it, right? He says, heck no. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, I have as many extra butt stocks as I do braces. I'll be a felon in style. Defensively, Susan Wiki. But you don't know how. It just happened to be. I know what happened. Look, I'm in the landscaping business, Ben. I know what he did. Some trees grow from wild. So some seeds blew from the stock tree over next to his bedroom window. And some seeds blew from the braces tree, and they germinated, and he looks out his window, and remember I was talking about picking leaves up all day today, which I did. I don't have any of those cool trees by my house, but Ben does. And it just so happened to be that it was a very fruitful harvest this year, and just as many buttstocks fell from the buttstock tree as the pistol brace tree. So he's looking out there, and he's like, they're about even. Now, not wanting to be a bad neighbor, because if you leave your leaves in your yard, it ticks off the whole neighborhood, blowing all over the place. He didn't want to leave all those buttstocks and braces just to blow into the neighbors' yards. So he went out there and raked them up, and just happens to have equal metric tons and barrel loads of both. So actually, I totally get how that happens, dude. Deal with it all the time in my profession of leaf cleanup and whatever. What's happening, Ron Wayne? How you doing, man? What's happening, M. Gabriel? What's up, Dale? Nice to see you, man. Bill Alexander, how you doing, dude? Let's see how else we got in the chat here. It is not that cool here yet, but it could be soon, Bear. He said, no snow or need to plug the diesel in. Then he said the Cummins will love it. I've had Cummins in the past, and I do like. I had an old 12-valve mechanical, 5.9 Cummins, 89 Dodge. Diesel still ran perfect. The truck rotted in half. Go figure. The old rotten Dodge thing, especially back in the 80s, right? But yeah, I had a first-year diesel. W250, four-wheel drive, and I like the Cummins a lot. My current truck that's right outside the shop is a 7.3 Power Stroke, though. So I hope we don't start a war with the Cummins versus Power Stroke, but I actually like them both. I actually do. Now, I'm not even going to keep reading this crap. You guys coming in here. Look at this. Raymond Levy said, yes, I don't know when the last time I saw. No. You guys, look. I'm jealous, okay? Anyone that lives where there isn't snow, just keep rubbing it in. What's happening, Denny? How you doing? Man, I like you guys, but I'm not gonna. I hate snow. Do I have to tell you guys that again? No, I don't. And I called you guys friends. Look at this. Pillbox Bunker. I called these guys friends, said I can't wait to read all of the chat. And now they're saying, can't tell you when the last time I saw it was snow. January is perfect weather here. 69, sunny. They'll be coming in next. Man. I need to figure out how to chill on YouTube. Then I can get rich and buy me a winter house. I'll live in South Carolina in the wintertime. And then probably come back to Ohio. Probably just leave Michigan altogether once they ban all the guns. I'm not getting rid of my guns, so. Let me know how to do it, Clover Tech. How do I get rich on YouTube where I can have a South Carolina home? I don't know. I'm thinking South Carolina. I would do South Carolina for my winter home, okay? And then Michigan, well, probably not. Maybe like Ohio or Indiana for the summer home. What do you guys think about that? Look, guys, shout out to Michigan. I'm not giving up my guns or whatever they're going to do. Not going to happen. So, we'll find out in a month here. All right, let me know. I'm just going to read the chat real quick, guys, then I'm going to jump off of here. And I missed a ton of chat because there's way more of you than me. I know a lot of you guys like to listen on replays, so I try to make it where it's at least just a bit, together. But I definitely will read more chat afterwards, and I appreciate you guys being here. Look at this crap. What are you guys doing here? Oh, all right. We can still be friends. Oh, wait, Taco Syndicate said, hate snow, just get a 4x4. No, I do, man, but that means work. Plowing snow, too. Look, you guys know why I hate snow, right? For any of you who are new to the channel, I do landscaping. I was doing leaves today. I plow snow in the winter. That's why I truly hate it. The snow, like in and of itself, dude, snowmobiling, quads, all that stuff, dude, it's nice. Snowman, sledding, I love it. I love snowmen, okay? That's not really it. I hate it when it snows because you're out there in the middle of the night. It's not just the brutal cold, but you're out there all night long. Every time it snows, I'm pulling an all-nighter, guys. So that's why I hate snow so bad. Just so you guys know. Dororo says, I'll side with you. Snow's stupid. I mean, it does suck, too. It messes up the roads and all that. I don't like it. But where I have, hate for it. It's not good to hate people, but you can hate inanimate objects. I hate snow because it just means a miserable night of no sleep and getting my sleep schedule turned around. So, there you go. I'm pretty close to Ohio. Not too far away. My daughter was born in Ohio. I know how you guys work. You're going to give me more crap because it's all good. Let me know how nice and warm it is where you all live before we get out of here. But this isn't going to be the end of streaming for the weekend. Thanks for the super chat, Ron Wayne. Shout out to you, man, and your channel. He pops on here just to remind everybody with a 223 and a channel member. Says Locals Rocks. I have a good time over there. Look, I'm going to be streaming on Locals tomorrow night. Yeah, probably around 9:30 or ish at night, somewhere around there Eastern time. It's free to join, or you can support. You can support free too. Literally. If this was Locals, I could say, hey, which one do you guys want to see more? And I could just literally grab one of those. So that's pretty cool. And there's lots of people on my Locals community. So come over there and hang out. I'm really encouraged because it's big tech's awesome. And I want to stay on big tech so we can talk to more people because that's what we need. But when they have too many rules and regulations, then we just go over there and do other stuff that we want to do on other sites. Philip Mullis says, AK all the way. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I like South Carolina because I'm kind of a big PSA fan, and no, I don't want to move to South Carolina. I'd I'd get my house foreclosed on probably in a few weeks. What am I thinking? It just clicked. I'm like, yeah, I'd be closer to PSA, so I could go buy more guns quicker without paying shipping and easier. And yeah, never mind. I probably don't want to be in South Carolina. Ugh. I'd be going bankrupt within days. Getting deputized. See, Scott from South Carolina. I told you guys, see? I don't know. I might go to South Carolina, just not too close to PSA or I'll go broke too soon. Know what I mean? Shout out to all the PSA employees, if any of you are watching, by the way. Lots of cool people work there. I know there's good people in South Carolina. Scott says we can all get deputized and carry whatever we want. That whole deputizing thing is very interesting and probably a longer topic, but that's an interesting topic. I will say that. Look at this. Too many choices. Channel member says it's 72 degrees in South Texas. I'll give it to you guys. But you know what I'm going to do, Jane? What's happening, Jane Locke? When it's 117 degrees in August and it's only like 95 degrees here in Michigan, I'm going to razz all these people. No, I want to do it the smart way. I want to be a snowbird. I would say Michigan, but I'm going to have to move some. I mean, come on. Gretchen, give me a break. The most popular and the most fortified governor of all time. Is that what they said? Anyways, Jane says, I do have a patent on my armor material, and I've tested it in several thicknesses. You invest and market it. I will do the engineering and manufacturing, and we can split it. Ooh, I might have my way out of here. Huh. What's interesting, Jane, is I have, hold on. You guys want to see, I'll show you guys something real quick. This is YouTube friendly. Do you guys want to see something? Do you care if I show it, Jane? I think I can show it. I have a piece of Jane's armor that I brought back to the shop. So we were having our hangout over at Pillbox Bunker's house. It's actually been about a month ago now. Now, this plate, as long as she says I'm good, I'm going to pull it out here and show you guys. It's like a 1/4 inch thick or less. It's super, super thin. It was getting pelted with 30-06 from an M1 Garand. Rockford Ordnance brought his M1, Garand, however you want to pronounce it, I don't care, and a BAR, a full auto BAR, pelted with it. Wait till you guys see this. Naughty 357, something is YouTube friendly? I know. Give me a break. What's happening, Dolly Madison's dad? What's happening, A-Monk? Hold on, let me pull up this other chat. I don't think this is top secret, is it? No, Jane already has it patented. All right, let me go grab this. I'll show you guys real quick. Okay, she said do it. All right. So this plate is about 1 foot by 1 foot. Okay. Look how thin this is. Hopefully you guys can get a perspective. This is like thin. Let me grab my tape measure out. I have calipers over there, but the tape will be close enough. I'm emphasizing how thin it is because AR 500 would have to be, it's almost exactly a 1/4 inch. We're just going to call it a 1/4 inch in layman's terms, okay? Check this out. Hold on, let me move my screen here. And I don't mean just like hit a couple times. I mean like just nailed with 30-06. A very, very slight bulge in the middle. And you can see this is where it was literally hit back to back. See how that witness mark is about twice the size of these? Very slight little bulge in the middle. So the whole plate is not bent at all. So There you go. So I have some of Jane's padded armor right here, and it's really not heavy at all. So there you go. It's deceiving. Somebody said looks like the moon surface a bit. No, these are actually, look, it looks like it's, see what I'm saying? It's just an optical illusion where when it hits the steel and discolors it, but no holes. And it was hit with more than just, I'm saying 30-06. That can rip through a plate that thin in most cases. So maybe we should do that. That would make a cool floor tile. Nutty said, yeah, actually it would. All right, I'm going to take one last peek at chat here. The reptile guys with a super chat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. How you doing, man? You've been around the channel a long time, and I'm glad to see you tonight. He said, you're my boy, Blue. Well, I'm wearing the blue hat, but the gray shirt, so thanks, man. I appreciate it, dude. You know what it's like to do lawn service and outside work when you're doing leaves, and it's just like, what's happening, Kurt? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. Kurt saw that target in action. Turn that steel plate for a Damascus knife. I don't know how to do that. But this is Jane's patented formula. So there you guys go. Taco Syndicate said, bro, I made target systems. That's cool. Nice. A lot of you guys are so talented. We just need to all get together here and find a way. I want you all to be rich, but we need to just get me rich enough where I can move somewhere where I don't have to be in the snow. That's all I want. Jane might help get me there. Oh, Coasty. I'll wash my hands afterwards, man, before I put them up to my mouth or anything like that. How's it going, old Coasty? Nice to see you, man. R. Shackelford. There's lots of R. Shacklefords on YouTube. But hello, says, yo, from the communist state of Oregon. Very expensive floor tile, yeah. Thanks, Timothy McGee. I appreciate it, man. No, I brought it back to the shop afterwards. And I will test it out more. Randy Smith should have done the 1,000 test on it. Hey, if you know someone that'll send me 1,000 rounds of ammo, I will definitely do it. Kurt got his loader in. Awesome, man. Good deal. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all hanging out tonight. I will definitely come on the channel when the brace rule, ban, change, law, not a law, but is a law, whatever. I'll come back and report on it when it actually happens. Hopefully it doesn't. I'm praying that it doesn't. I'm praying that the American people are not going to be with it, for it. So we will see. In the meantime, I think it is a good idea to pressure Congress. There might be a chance with people like Jim Jordan and that committee, you know. Talk to your friends, neighbors, family. And I'm serious, take that brace off your pistol tonight just for a little bit. And just start kind of thinking about it. It'll make you think. It'll make your mind kind of go, huh, I don't know. Hey, we the people. Good night, man. Nice to see you. Not very dangerous. Dog is playing. Oh, geez. I will see a lot of you guys on locals tomorrow. Misty, how's it going, Misty? Have a safe night. You too. Thank you. Walker Customs, have a good one, man. Thanks. Lord of War, have a good night. Eggs in my coffee, good night. And literally, look at the avatar real quick, guys. There's literally eggs in the coffee. Gross, you know, but hey, whatever. And Scott from South Carolina, don't open when they knock. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you on locals tomorrow and back on YouTube throughout the next week. The Rio 7018. Good night. Take it easy. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching and have a good one.